Packet lesson 6-2, day 2, tackling cubic roots, perfect cubic roots and non-perfect cubic roots. So we're going to start with example 7. We look at the cubic root of 24 and we say, hey, what's the largest perfect cubic root that goes into 24? And I might as well just quickly show you the list. 27, 64, 125. These are the 4 that are going to show up most of the time. So which one goes into 24? Well, 8 does. How many times? 3. What's the cubic root of 8? That's 2. I get 2 cubic root of 3. So that one's nice little warmer upper. I think you guys are good. Now we got the cubic root of 375. We go down the list. Nope, nope, nope. Ding, 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 ding. So that's going to turn into 125. Get into the habit of writing the perfect cubic one first, and that'd be 3 times. What's the cubic root of 125? Well, that's 5. And then I get cubic root of 3. So there you go. We're warming up. You guys might be saying, well, why'd you take a whole extra day for this? It's a lot like square roots. I just think it was a good idea. Okay, pace ourselves a little bit. And here we go, example 9. In fact, I'm going to do example 10 first. So what is the cubic root of 1? Well, that's just 1. So this problem turns into this. And so now we got to remember what I said in the pre-lesson. How do we get a radical out of the basement if it's a cubic root? Well, you need 3 of a kind. It's the only way that's going to get the job done. So I got to add a couple of these. And so now I'm just concentrating on the denominator. If you cube a cubic root, what's my little phrase? The roof flies off. And then I got oil, water, water. The water can mix. So I get 1 cubic root of 4. Now, if you wanted to write that as the cubic root of 4 all over 2, that's fine. You don't need to put the 1 in there. Now, there would be a temptation. Can I divide this 4 by the 2? And the answer is no, because this is oil and this is water. They don't mix mathematically. It just doesn't make sense. That's not a 4. I know that's a mysterious thing I'm saying, but it isn't. It's the cubic root of 4. So you're not even supposed to think of it as a 4. Hence, you can't divide it by 2. Anyways, all right, why did I do that one first? Because this one doesn't have a trick. It's just straight up get her done. Here's my trick. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it. I know there's no perfect cubic root of 5, and instead of writing this as a 9, I'm going to write it as a pair of 3s, because I know that 3 times 3 makes 9, and now I've just lessened my headache by a ton, because now I've got 1, 2 cubic roots of 3. I just need another one before the roofs fly off. How come? Because if you cube a cubic root, the roofs fly off. You need a 3 of a kind. You need 3. But then I'm going to add 1 to the top. Now notice what happens in the bottom. Bing, bing, bing. Roof flies off. Does this mix? Yes. So I get the cubic root of 15, and you're done. That's it, okay? Now, I did not show you an example like this in the pre-lesson, but I want you to remember the cubic root of 3 times the cubic root of 3 times the cubic root of 3 is 3. The cubic root of 2 times the cubic root of 2 times the cubic root of 2 is 2. Now, what am I emphasizing? 3 of a kind, roof flies off. 3 of a kind, roof flies off. So instead of multiplying this stuff together, this times this, and getting the cubic root of something ginormous, thank you, Will Ferrell, for that quote, I'm going to do it differently. I don't want to do it this way. I'm going to go 45, and now watch this. I'm going to go the cubic root of 9 times the cubic root of 5. Now, some of you that are really using your noggin, you're saying, wait a minute, I thought one of these are supposed to be a perfect cubic root. Now, I'm not worried about that on this. I'm hunting for 3 of a kind. So I'm letting go of that desire to have, like these, a perfect cubic root, a perfect cubic root. That's how you do these. See, these are different. I'm looking for 3 of a kind. So the 12 I'm going to make that 4, and I'm going to make that 3. Now watch what happens. I'm going to keep breaking this down into 3 and 3. The 5 I'm going to bring along for the ride. The 4, I'm just going to leave that alone, and I'm going to show you why. You see that cubic root of 3? If you notice, I've got 1, 2, 3 of them. What does that mean? If this times this times this happens, the roofs fly off. So I get 3. Now I'm going to mix these back together. Yes, I could have made that 2 times 2, but I could see that I got a pair of 3s. So I'm just going to keep this and multiply these together and get the cubic root of 20. And I'm done. Now you guys that are locked in square root land, you're thinking, aha, square root of 4, square root of 5, that's what I should do to this. No, because it's a cubic root. And if you remember, our list of perfect cubic roots are 8, 27, etc., etc. So this is done. So you don't have to break it down any further. You're done. On to this one. That's going to be a little challenging for you, maybe. This one right here, hopefully you were listening to my teaching, my pre-lessons. Whenever you guys see a fraction, you guys instinctively reduce it. But for some reason, when it looks difficult like this, your brain just doesn't look at the simple rule you've been learning since a long time ago. Because we've got water and water, our brains should see 60 over 36 without any radical over them. In other words, just reduce it. So what's the largest number that goes into both of these? 12, I think. So that's a 5, and that's a 3. So if you notice this little trick, then this problem just turned into the cubic root of 5 over the cubic root of 3. And man, did your life just get a lot easier. Because now, to get the radical out of the basement, I'm not worried about all these big numbers. I just need 2 more of these, and then the roofs fly off. So the cubic root of 3, cubic root of 3, and now look at boom, boom, boom. Good news, roof flies off. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 5 is 45. And again, we can't break this down because you need to think about 8, 27, 64, and none of these go into 45. So we're done when we get to this point. And that finishes 6-2, day 2, cubic roots. So let me pause this a second. Okay, so the good news is that whole lesson, you are now prepared to tackle numbers 10, 11, 14, and 15. And that's it for your homework tonight. How do you like them apples? All right, have fun with that assignment.